He hadn't said a word. He hadn't done anything. He was just waiting for his clothes. Yet these two women were screaming at him, ordering him to kneel and apologize for something he didn't even know he did. He looked at them, his face expressionless, his eyes calm like still water. He didn't stand up. He didn't bow. That silence infuriated the young lady even more. You dare to look at me like that? She was trembling with anger. You are finished. I will tell my father about this. I will tell him how a lowly shop worker insulted me. He will close this shop down. He will have you arrested. You will lose your job, your home, everything. I will make you beg on the streets. She was creating a huge scene, her voice loud enough to draw attention from outside. Just as the situation was about to explode, the female attendant rushed back in. She was holding a stack of neatly folded brand new clothes, Chen Feng's order. She saw the angry young lady and immediately understood what was happening. Her face paled instantly. Miss Wang! Please calm down! Please don't be angry! The attendant quickly placed the clothes down and bowed deeply to the young lady. It is our fault. It is our fault. Please forgive us. Forgive? Miss Wang snorted, pointing at Chen Feng. This man is insolent. He didn't greet me, he disrespected me, and he refused to apologize. Fire him immediately. The attendant looked panicked. She wanted to explain, but she was afraid of offending the powerful Miss Wang. She looked at Chen Feng with apologetic eyes, not knowing what to do. The atmosphere in the shop was tense. Chen Feng finally stood up slowly. He looked at the attendant, then at the furious young lady. I believe. Chen Feng spoke softly, but his voice cut clearly through the noise. There seems to be a misunderstanding. I am not. Before he could finish his sentence, a familiar golden light flashed in front of his eyes. New quest received. Quest name, The Price of Arrogance. Description: some people are born with silver spoons and think they can trample on others. This young lady looks down on you simply because of your appearance. Teach her and her servant a proper lesson. Make them realize that not everyone can be bullied at will. Requirements: humiliate them publicly, make them apologize, or force them to leave in disgrace. Reward: 300 gold coins, intermediate mystery package 2 times. Chen Feng's eyes narrowed slightly. A reward of 300 gold coins? That was a huge sum. And 2 mystery packages? It seemed the system was very supportive of him teaching these people a lesson. A cold smile appeared on his face. He looked at the furious young lady and her maid. You want me to apologize? You want me to kneel? Chen Feng's voice turned cold, losing all warmth. Who gave you the right to order me around? Just because you wear nice clothes and have a bit of money, you think you are the ruler of the world? He stood up slowly. Even though he was just sitting, the moment he stood, he exuded an aura that was calm but incredibly oppressive. His eyes, sharp and deep, stared directly at Miss Wang. You came in yelling. You insulted me for no reason. You threatened to ruin my livelihood. And now, you want me to apologize? Chen Feng took a step forward. I think you have it backwards. It is you who should apologize for disturbing the peace and insulting a guest. You dare talk back? Miss Wang was shocked. She wasn't used to anyone daring to resist her, especially someone she thought was a servant. Xiao Chui. Teach him some manners. Slap him. The maid immediately rushed forward, raising her hand to slap Chen Feng's face. But Chen Feng was no longer the weak boy he used to be. His movements were like lightning. Before anyone could see clearly, Chen Feng had already grabbed the maid's wrist tightly. He twisted it slightly. Pain! Pain! Let go! The maid screamed, her face turning pale from the pain. Chen Feng pushed her away lightly, sending her stumbling back several steps until she almost fell. Lowly creature! How dare you! Miss Wang shrieked. Watch your mouth, Chen Feng said coldly. I am a customer here, same as you. If you continue to act like a shrew, don't blame me for being impolite. He looked at her with such disdain that it felt worse than hitting her. Miss Wang trembled with rage, pointing at Chen Feng. You wait, I will definitely make you pay. I will have my father send guards to arrest you. You will regret being born. The shop attendant was panic-stricken. She ran between them, bowing repeatedly. Miss Wang, please calm down. This is really a misunderstanding. This gentleman is also a customer. He is not our staff. Please don't be angry. Customer? Miss Wang sneered, looking at Chen Feng's simple clothes. Him? A customer? Look at what he's wearing. How could he afford anything in this shop? He must be a beggar trying to sneak in. Get him out. No. He really is a customer. The attendant was about to cry. Just as the situation was about to escalate further, a dignified voice came from the stairs. What is all this commotion? Why is there so much noise in my shop? Everyone turned their heads. A middle-aged woman dressed in fine silk was walking down slowly. She had a graceful bearing, and her eyes were sharp and intelligent. Although she looked middle-aged, she exuded an aura of wealth and authority. This is the owner of Elegant Silk Pavilion, Madame Lu. Madame Lu! Miss Wang immediately changed her tone, though her face was still angry. You came just in time. Look at your shop. You employ such rude and uneducated servants. He not only disrespected me but even dared to hit my maid. You must give me an explanation today. She thought that by pointing out Chen Feng as a servant, Madame Lu would definitely side with her. Madame Lu glanced at the crying maid, then at Chen Feng, who was standing calmly with his hands behind his back, and finally at the attendant. What happened here? Madame Lu asked the attendant calmly. The attendant quickly looked at her. Madam, this young master is indeed our customer. He came to buy clothes, and we were just preparing them for him. Miss Wang came in and mistook him for a staff member and started scolding him. Madame Lu's gaze shifted back to Miss Wang, her expression turning slightly cold. Miss Wang, it seems, your eyesight needs some checking. This gentleman is clearly a guest. How could you mistake him for a worker and insult him like this? And I don't remember hiring him. Miss Wang was stunned. But look at his clothes. He doesn't look rich at all. Clothes do not define a person, Madame Lu said sternly. In my shop, everyone who enters is a guest, regardless of what they wear. It is you who created this scene out of nothing and disturbed my business. I think it is you who owes him an apology. Miss Wang refused to back down. Her face was flush red with anger and embarrassment, but she still looked at Chen Feng with utter contempt. So what if he is a customer? She sneered sharply, pointing a finger at him. Just looking at his shabby appearance, how could he possibly afford the clothes in this shop? He probably came here just to look around. Madame Lu, don't be fooled by him. Ask him if he even has the money to pay. She was certain that a person dressed so simply could never have wealth. She wanted to expose him as a fraud right here and now. Madame Lu hesitated slightly and looked at Chen Feng. Sir. Chen Feng didn't say a word. He simply reached into his pocket, took out the heavy, gleaming gold coin he had retrieved from his inventory earlier, and placed it casually into the attendant's hand. The attendant's eyes went wide. Her hands trembled slightly as she held the coin. It was heavy, pure gold, shining with a warm, noble luster under the shop lights. The entire shop went silent. In this era, copper coins were what ordinary people used daily. Silver was already considered a large sum. But gold coins? Those were treasures rarely seen, usually only circulated among high officials, nobles, or very wealthy merchants. Carrying a gold coin wasn't just about having money, it represented status and power. Even Madame Lu's eyes lit up, and her expression became much more respectful. She knew instantly that this young man was definitely not an ordinary person. Gold, it's really gold, someone whispered from the side. Miss Wang was stunned. She stared at the coin, her mouth opening and closing, unable to speak for a few seconds. But her pride would not allow her to admit defeat. Impossible! Impossible! She shrieked loudly, pointing at Chen Feng aggressively. How could someone like him have a gold coin? This must be fake. Or he stole it. Yes, definitely stole it from somewhere. Arrest him. Call the guards. He is a thief. These words finally ignited the anger in Chen Feng's heart. He had remained calm until now. He tolerated her insults, he tolerated her arrogance. But calling him a thief? Accusing him of stealing? That crossed the line. Chen Feng's gaze turned icy cold. The air around him seemed to drop in temperature. He looked at Miss Wang, and his voice was low and dangerous. Say that again. His voice wasn't loud, but it carried a weight that made everyone's heart skip a beat. Miss Wang actually took a step back instinctively, intimidated by his aura, but she still stubbornly shouted. I said you stole it. You are a thief. Enough. Madame Lu stepped forward. She took the gold coin from the attendant, examined it closely under the light, rubbed it with her thumb, and then nodded firmly. Miss Wang, please restrain yourself. This coin is genuine. She held up the coin to show everyone. Look closely. This is a dragon-patterned gold coin minted by the Royal Treasury. See these intricate carvings and the secret mark here? Every official gold coin has a unique serial and insignia. It is impossible to fake, and it is impossible for just anyone to obtain. She turned to Miss Wang, her tone becoming stern. This gentleman clearly possesses this coin legally. To accuse him of theft without any evidence is a serious slander. The truth was laid bare. Miss Wang stood there, her face turning from red to pale, then to green. The reality hit her hard. The person she looked down on, the person she thought was a servant or a beggar, actually possessed a gold coin, something she herself might not even carry casually. She was completely humiliated. The eyes of everyone in the shop were on her, filled with judgment and amusement. She felt as if she had been slapped hard across the face. You! She couldn't find any words to argue anymore. She was overwhelmed by shame and rage. Humph! She let out a cold, sharp snort, refusing to show any weakness. She turned around abruptly, her sleeves flinging wildly. We are leaving! This place is full of bad luck! She walked towards the door, but as she passed her maid, she suddenly stopped and kicked the maid hard on the shin. Useless thing! Are you blind? Why didn't you check properly earlier? Look at the trouble you caused me. When we get home, I will deal with you properly. The maid didn't dare to make a sound, holding back tears and limping behind her. Just as she was about to step out the door, Miss Wang suddenly turned her head, glaring at Chen Feng with venomous eyes. You win this time. But don't get too proud. My father is Wang Tianbao, the head of the Merchant Guild. You offended me today. I won't let this go. Just wait and see. I will make you regret ever stepping into this city. After throwing down these harsh words, she finally stormed out in a fury, taking her trembling maid with her. The shop was finally quiet. Madame Lu told the onlookers that the show is over. The door finally closed, cutting off the sound of Miss Wang's angry footsteps. The atmosphere in the shop slowly returned to normal, but the air still felt tense. Madame Lu turned to Chen Feng, her expression full of apology and respect. She bowed deeply. Sir, I sincerely apologize for what just happened. It was our lack of discipline that allowed such a disturbance to happen. I hope you are not offended. However, sir, to be honest, we cannot accept this gold coin as payment. The clothes you ordered are made of fine materials, but their value is only in silver coins. 1 gold coin is worth 100 silver coins. It is far too valuable. We simply do not have enough cash in the shop to give you proper change. In this world, gold coins were like large denomination banknotes. While they represented immense wealth, they were impractical for daily transactions, especially in a single shop. Chen Feng looked at the coin, then at Madame Lu. He didn't argue or make things difficult. I understand, he said calmly. Then do this. Calculate the exact price of the clothes I ordered. Give me change so I can use it for other expenses. As for the remaining amount, just keep it here as a deposit. Deposit? Madame Lu was stunned. Consider it advance payment, Chen Feng said indifferently. I will need more clothes in the future. Winter is coming, and I will need robes, innerwear, and formal attire. You can just deduct it from what I left. This way, it saves me the trouble of carrying money around. He spoke with such ease, as if leaving silver coins behind was nothing more than leaving a few copper coins. Madame Lu's eyes lit up. This was a huge client. Someone who could casually leave a fortune as a deposit was definitely not an ordinary person. Her attitude became even more enthusiastic and respectful. Understood. You are truly a distinguished guest. No matter what you need in the future, just mention your name, and we will prepare everything for you. Please have a seat. Let's have some tea while we sort out the details. Madame Lu personally poured tea for Chen Feng. While they chatted, Chen Feng mentioned his need for proper footwear. I still need a good pair of boots. Sturdy and comfortable. Do you know a reliable shop? Madame Lu smiled immediately. Of course. There is a black iron workshop just 2 streets down. Their master is an old friend of mine. They make the best leather boots in the city. We can discuss the details with them. Don't worry about paying. We will settle the bill together later, deducting it from your deposit here. Chen Feng nodded, satisfied with this arrangement. Soon, the shop assistant brought over a cloth bag. Sir, we counted, and this is exactly 40 silver coins. It is all the cash we have available at the moment. Please check. Chen Feng took the bag. It was heavy and solid. He didn't even open it to count. All right. The attendant then took a measuring tape and carefully measured the size of his feet, noting down the dimensions precisely. Sir, some clothes you ordered are custom-made and need some time to finish perfectly. We will also contact the shoe shop for your boots. Once everything is ready, we will personally deliver the entire set to the inn where you are staying. Very good. Chen Feng stood up. He only took sets of simple, clean-changing clothes that were already wrapped, something he could wear immediately. Then I will be leaving first. I will wait for your delivery. Please take care, sir. We will send everything as soon as possible. Madame Lu and the attendant bowed deeply until he walked out of the door. He returned to the Fortune Inn. The shopkeeper and attendants greeted him even more warmly than before, sensing the change in his demeanor. As soon as he entered his room and made sure the door was locked, he looked at the bag. No need to carry this heavy thing around. He focused his mind, and in an instant, the bag of silver coins vanished from his hand, safely stored away into his system storage space. Now his hands were empty, and he felt completely light and free. Feeling dusty from the journey and the earlier commotion, he went to the adjacent private bath. The water was warm and refreshing. He scrubbed away the tiredness, feeling his skin become smooth and clean. After the bath, he stood in front of the mirror. He picked up the new set of clothes he had bought and put them on. The fabric was soft, high-quality linen and cotton, colored in a dignified deep gray. The cut was perfect, fitting his newly strengthened body snugly. He looked at his reflection. Gone was the ragged, sickly boy from the village. Standing there was a young man with sharp features, a tall and straight posture, and eyes full of spirit. He looked clean, capable, and undeniably handsome. Chen Feng tightened his belt and nodded slightly in satisfaction. Not bad, he whispered. Now, I am ready for this city. Night fell. The room was quiet. Only the sound of the city bustling far away could be faintly heard. Chen Feng sat cross-legged on the bed. He closed his eyes and focused his mind. Immediately, the familiar translucent golden panel appeared in front of him. Status. Name, Chen Feng. Strength 30. Agility, 25. Skills body strengthening. Wealth, gold coins 799, silver coins 40. His eyes landed on the section marked rewards. There 2 glowing boxes were floating, pulsating with mysterious light. These were the rewards from completing the quest earlier. Let's see what good stuff I got. Chen Feng reached out with his consciousness and tapped on the first box. Mystery package opened. Obtained, Eye of Insight passive skill. Suddenly, Chen Feng felt a slight stinging sensation in his eyes, followed by a cool flow spreading through his optic nerves. It felt as if a layer of fog had been lifted from the world. Skill description. Allows the user to see through a person's basic attributes, strengths, and weaknesses. Can detect fluctuations in a person's heartbeat and aura, effectively seeing through lies and deception. No one can hide their true intentions from you again. Chen Feng's eyes lit up. This is amazing! So now, not only can I see if someone is strong or weak, but I can also tell immediately if they are lying or hiding something. That arrogant lady from earlier, if I had this skill then, I would have known she was just bluffing the moment she opened her mouth. This skill was worth more than gold. It was the ultimate weapon for survival in the complex world outside. Excited, he tapped on the second box. Mystery package opened. Obtained. Foundation Establishment Pill and Basic Martial Arts Manual. Fist of Shattering Stone. A pill emitting rich spiritual energy appeared in his hand, along with a thin booklet. Item description. Foundation Establishment Pill. Completely purifies the body, removes all hidden ailments, and maximizes potential. Prepares the body for cultivation. Fist of Shattering Stone. A powerful external martial art. Focuses on strengthening the bones and muscles. Once mastered, one punch can shatter rock and crack iron. Suitable for current physique. Chen Feng held the booklet, his hands trembling slightly. Martial arts. In the village, he had only ever heard stories about warriors who could leap over walls and fight tigers with bare hands. He never dreamed that one day, he would possess such a thing himself. He looked at the vast amount of gold coins displayed on the panel, and the powerful rewards he kept receiving. He couldn't help but furrow his brows. Why? He whispered to himself. Why is this happening to me? Why give me so much power, so much wealth? I am just an ordinary boy from a small village. He navigated through the other buttons, shop, quests, achievements, but everything else was grayed out or locked. There was no explanation, no instruction manual. The system was silent, only acting when it wanted to give tasks or rewards. Chen Feng pondered for a long time but found no answer. It was a mystery that couldn't be solved for now. Finally, he let out a long breath and bowed his head slightly towards the empty air. Whatever your reason is, thank you. You saved my life when I was struck by lightning. You gave me a new chance when my family abandoned me. As long as you are here, I will walk this path well. I will not waste this gift. The system didn't respond, but the light on the panel flickered gently, as if acknowledging his words. The next morning, Chen Feng went down to the dining hall. The inn owner had prepared a rich breakfast table for him, steamed buns filled with meat, congee with preserved eggs, fried dough sticks, and fresh fruits. It was a meal that ordinary people would salivate over. Chen Feng picked up his chopsticks and ate. But as he chewed, his expression remained calm, perhaps even slightly disappointed. The taste is still flat, he thought. The oil is too heavy, and the ingredients lack freshness. It fills the stomach, but it doesn't satisfy the palate at all. Ever since taking the body-strengthening pill, his senses had evolved. His sense of taste had become incredibly sensitive. Ordinary food, especially those with heavy seasoning or low-quality ingredients, now tasted coarse and bland to him. It was like asking someone who was used to fine cuisine to eat plain bran. It seems ordinary food is no longer enough for me. Chen Feng murmured. My body has changed, and my needs have changed too. Perhaps in the future, I will need to find ingredients infused with energy just to feel full. He ate slowly, finishing the meal not for enjoyment, but simply to fuel his body. He wiped his mouth and stood up. His eyes were clear and sharp. Today, I will learn this fist of shattering stone. Let me see just how strong I can become. After finishing his meal, Chen Feng settled the bill and returned straight to his room. He turned the key, locking the door securely, ensuring absolute privacy. He sat on the edge of the bed and took a deep breath. With a thought, 2 items appeared in his hands. The glowing foundation establishment pill and the thin booklet titled Fist of Shattering Stone. Without hesitation, he tossed the pill into his mouth. It dissolved instantly upon touching his tongue, turning into a stream of warm, viscous liquid that flowed down his throat and into his dantian, lower abdomen. Immediately, a sensation of intense warmth erupted from within. It wasn't just heat. It felt like a gentle, nurturing energy that spread to every corner of his body, washing over his muscles, veins, and bones. It was a feeling of comfort and completeness, something he had never experienced before. It felt as if his body was finally awakening to its true potential. As the warmth settled, Chen Feng picked up the martial arts manual. He opened the first page. Normally, martial arts manuals were filled with complex diagrams, terminology, and profound theories that would take an ordinary person days or weeks just to understand the basics. But Chen Feng merely glanced at it. The knowledge from the basic literacy tome he acquired earlier activated instantly. His mind became like a sponge, absorbing everything. The complicated characters, the hidden meanings, the subtle breathing techniques, they all became clear as day to him. He didn't need to study hard. He just flipped through the pages quickly, and every movement, every detail, was imprinted deeply into his mind. Horse stance, punching method, bone hardening technique. Instead of starting with the punches or kicks, he sat on the floor and started circulating his energy. Chen Feng sat cross-legged on the floor, his mind completely focused. Following the breathing method described in the manual, he began to guide the warm energy residing in his dantian. Circulate flow. This was his first time truly attempting to cultivate internal energy. He knew very well that this was the most critical moment. He could not be reckless. If he rushed or made a mistake in guiding the energy, it could damage his meridians or even cripple his cultivation forever. I cannot take shortcuts here, he told himself firmly. Even though I have the system and my body is strong, my foundation must be rock solid. To walk the farthest path, I must start from the very beginning. He slowed his breathing down to an extreme degree. He carefully guided the energy, moving it slowly along the routes. It felt like flowing water, warm and gentle, washing over his muscles and bones. He repeated this cycle over and over again, tempering his body from the inside out, ensuring every inch of his frame was nourished and strengthened. Only when he felt completely familiar with the sensation and was certain that his control was perfect did he slowly exhale and open his eyes. A thin wisp of white air shot out from his mouth, dissipating in the air. His body felt light, and his spirit was full. Good. The foundation is stable. He stood up and began to practice the forms of the fist of shattering stone. His movements were no longer stiff or tentative. Every punch, every step, was executed with precise coordination of body and spirit. The energy flowed smoothly, powering his muscles, making his strikes heavy and fast. He focused entirely on perfection, not seeking speed or flashy moves, but only stability and strength. After practicing until his body felt completely familiar with every move, he finally stopped. Sweat had soaked through his inner clothes, but he felt incredibly comfortable, as if every pore had opened up. Exhausted but satisfied, he simply laid down flat on the wooden floor, staring at the ceiling. He summoned the system panel to check his progress. Status: Name, Chinfeng. Strength 50. Agility, 45. Skills: Body Strengthening, Eye of Insight, Fist of Shattering Stone, Beginner. Knowledge, Level 2. Wealth: Gold coins 799, silver coins 40. Chinfeng looked at the numbers and his eyes widened slightly. He was now 5 times stronger and faster than a normal adult. He clenched his fist tightly, feeling the explosive power contained within his limbs. The air even whistled slightly as he moved. He realized that with just his physical strength alone, he was already a formidable force. Just as he was marveling at his newfound power, a crisp notification sound rang in his mind. New quest received. Quest name: The Way of the Warrior. Description: Strength is good, but skill is essential. To walk the path of cultivation, one must master martial arts. Learn and comprehend at least one external martial arts style. Reward: Unlock system shop plus 10,000 gold coins. Chinfeng's eyes suddenly widened, and he sat up straight, his breath hitching in his throat. 10,000 gold coins! His heart pounded wildly. That was an astronomical sum. He currently had 799 gold coins, which already made him feel quite wealthy, but 10,000 was on a completely different level. It was enough to buy a large mansion or support a family for several lifetimes. He understood now. Learning martial arts was a path of sweat and blood. It was never easy. The system was rewarding him accordingly for such a difficult task. Moreover, unlocking the system shop was still a mystery to him. He didn't know what kind of miraculous items could be bought there, but with that amount of money waiting, it was definitely something extraordinary. I have to complete this. He took a deep breath, his eyes burning with determination. No matter how hard it is, I must master these skills, not just for the reward, but to become truly strong. Feeling sticky and uncomfortable, he went to the private bathing area attached to his room and washed up thoroughly. Afterwards, he went downstairs for dinner. He ordered a table full of nutritious dishes to replenish his energy. The food still tasted ordinary for his palate, but he still ate with heartily for his body needs it. That night, he slept like a log. His sleep was deep and peaceful, completely different from his usual rest. He woke up the next morning feeling as if his mind had been washed clean, full of vitality. After eating a light but filling breakfast, Chinfeng stepped out of the inn. He didn't rush. He walked slowly, taking the time to observe the bustling streets, the architecture, and the people, familiarizing himself with this new environment. Following the direction the attendant had given him, he arrived at his first destination. Standing before him was a massive, towering gate made of dark stone, carved with intricate patterns of clouds and scales. Above the gate, 3 large characters were written: Azure Dragon Academy. The gate was tightly shut. Seeing an elderly man passing by with a basket, Chinfeng stepped forward politely to ask. Excuse me, elder. I wish to join this academy to learn martial arts. Is the recruitment open today? The old man stopped, looked at the grand gate, and shook his head. Young man, you're late. They only open the gates once a month to select new disciples. Today is not the day. Getting in is extremely difficult. They only accept the most talented ones. Oh, I see. Thank you, elder. Chinfeng watched the old man leave, then turned his gaze back to the academy. Curious, he silently activated his Eye of Insight. As his gaze swept over the walls, he was stunned. The spiritual energy here was indeed incredibly dense and powerful, exuding an aura of majesty. However, mixed within that strength was something else, a faint, cold, and eerie atmosphere. It felt oppressive and distant. He couldn't explain why, but his intuition told him that although the power here was strong, there was something off about it. Next, he arrived at the Iron Fist Academy. The style here was completely different. The huge gates are sturdy and simple, exuding a heavy, solid atmosphere. Again, Chen Feng activated his insight. The aura here was thick and reliable, but just like the previous one, it carried a strange vibe, harsh and somewhat ruthless, lacking warmth. It was a feeling he couldn't quite describe, but it made him slightly uncomfortable. He inquired and found out that their selection process was also very harsh and closed off, not easily accepting outsiders. With no luck at the first two, Chen Feng continued walking until he arrived at the third location, Red Dawn Academy. Compared to the first two, this place looked much more open and lively. There were people coming and going, and the gates were wide open. Finally, one that is open, Chen Feng muttered and walked towards the entrance. A disciple immediately spotted him. Hello, what brings you here? Greetings, brother. I am new to the city and looking for a school to join. I wonder if I could take a look around? Chen Feng asked humbly. The disciple beamed with a smile. Of course. Welcome, welcome. Our Red Dawn Academy is always open to those who seek the path of martial arts. Follow me, I'll give you a tour. The disciple was very enthusiastic. He showed Chen Feng around the training grounds, the lecture halls, and the dormitories. As they were walking, they saw a sturdy middle-aged man overseeing the training outside. That is Master Wu. The disciple whispered. Wait here, I will tell him about you. The disciple ran forward and reported Chen Feng's intention. Master Wu turned around, his eyes sharp yet kind, and walked over to greet them. So, you want to join us? Master Wu looked at Chen Feng up and down. You look decent, with a sturdy frame and bright eyes. You seem promising. However, we need to test your foundation and capabilities first to see what we can offer you. Are you willing? I am willing, Chen Feng replied firmly. In his mind, he activated his insight. Status: Name, Wu Changfeng. Title: Academy Master. Strength: 75. Agility: 50. Vitality: 68. Internal Energy: 82. Skills: Fist of the Blazing Sun, Pseudomaster level. Iron Mountain Body Technique, Advanced level. Steps of the Wind, Advanced level. Healing and Meridian Regulation Art, Intermediate level. Sword Basics, Intermediate level. Evaluation: A warrior who has walked the path for decades. His internal energy is deep and vast, far surpassing that of ordinary disciples. He is strict yet kind, valuing character over talent alone. His comprehension of martial arts is profound, capable of seeing through a person's foundation with just a glance. Good. Master Wu nodded. Hu Wei, come here. Yes, master. A young man stepped out from the group of trainees. He looked about 20 years old, tall and energetic, with a confident bearing. This is Hu, Master Wu introduced. He has been studying here for 3 years already and has a solid foundation. He will test your skills. Go to the arena. Chen Feng followed Brother Hu to the arena. They stood facing each other and bowed respectfully according to etiquette. Before the match began, Chen Feng's insight still activated. Name, Hu Wei, Strength 40. Agility, 35. Skills: Fist of Iron Mountain, Intermediate level, Basic Footwork, Intermediate level. Evaluation: Solid foundation, steady style, and possesses good comprehension. He is warm-hearted, friendly, and gets along well with everyone, often helping juniors without arrogance. However, he suffers from an old injury in his left leg. Although it seems fine on the surface, his flexibility and explosive power are slightly restricted, becoming a bottleneck that hinders his further progress. What surprised Chen Feng the most was his character evaluation. He was indeed a good person, warm and friendly. But that hidden injury in his leg. Chen Feng glanced subtly at Hu Wei's left leg. No wonder when he walked, his weight distribution was slightly different, though most people would never notice. Little brother, don't hold back. Hu Wei smiled warmly, his eyes full of kindness. Show me what you've got. Thank you, senior brother. Chen Feng nodded seriously. He knew he had to take this seriously. Begin. Master Wu shouted from the side. Immediately, Hu Wei moved. Watch out, little brother! He didn't hold back completely. He stepped forward, his fist carrying a gust of wind as he threw a straight punch directly at Chen Feng's chest. It was fast and accurate, honed by 3 years of practice. However, Chen Feng didn't panic. His eyes were calm. Because of his high agility and sharp senses, time seemed to slow down slightly in his vision. He's shifting his weight to the right leg. The punch is coming from the front, the elbow is slightly raised, the speed is decent, but the trajectory is clear. Every detail of Brother Hu's movement was clearly visible to him. Chen Feng saw through the attack instantly. Around them, other disciples had also stopped their training to watch. They knew Hu Wei's strength well. He was considered an elite among the intermediate disciples. Look, senior brother Hu made his move immediately. That stance is so standard. I wonder how long this new guy can last? Senior brother Hu's Iron Mountain fist is very powerful. Sure, let's watch quietly. The atmosphere tensed up instantly as everyone focused their attention on the arena. As Hu Wei's fist drew near, Chen Feng didn't retreat. Instead, he moved instinctively. He didn't dodge. Instead, he raised his own arm, using the simplest and most direct movement to deflect the incoming force. At the same time, he extended his right fist, seemingly just to block or meet the attack head-on. Bang! A dull, heavy sound echoed through the training grounds. Fist collided against fist. However, the result was completely unexpected. Chen Feng's strength was currently at 50 points, far exceeding Hu Wei's 40 points. Moreover, Chen Feng's control over his power was precise, and his physical body had been tempered to an incredible degree. The moment they touched, a terrifying force burst forth. It wasn't just raw power, it was like a mountain collapsing. Hu Wei's eyes instantly widened in shock. He felt as if he had punched a solid steel plate, and immediately after, an overwhelming, irresistible force surged back through his arm, shaking his entire body. His feet left the ground instantly. Hu Wei was actually sent flying backward for nearly 3 to 5 meters before he finally crashed heavily onto the dusty ground, sliding a little further before stopping. The entire training ground fell into dead silence. The disciples who were watching were completely stunned. Their mouths hung open, unable to close. What just happened? Senior brother Hu was blown away. Just like that? With one move? That wasn't even a fancy technique. It was just a simple head-on collision. Is this new guy a monster? Senior brother Hu has trained for 3 years. Awe and disbelief were written all over their faces. They looked at Chen Feng as if he were a completely different creature. Not far away, Master Wu, who had been standing with his hands behind his back, suddenly straightened up. His eyes narrowed into slits, and his calm expression vanished completely, replaced by pure shock. He couldn't believe his eyes. He knew Hu Wei's strength very well. Even if he himself were to fight Hu Wei, he wouldn't send him flying that far with just a simple punch unless he used significant force. Yet this young man did it so casually? Chen Feng himself was also stunned. He stood there frozen, looking at his own fist. Oh no! He hadn't meant to do that. He just wanted to deflect the attack and test the waters. He didn't anticipate that the difference in their stats would result in such a terrifying display of power. He completely overpowered senior brother Hu. Without thinking twice, Chen Feng rushed forward, his face filled with worry and guilt. Senior brother Hu! Senior brother! He quickly scanned Hu Wei with his insight. Fortunately, the system showed that there were no serious injuries, just some shock to his muscles and qi. But physically, he was fine. However, Chen Feng knew very well that being knocked down in front of so many juniors and peers must feel incredibly humiliating. Chen Feng crouched down beside him. Hu Wei was lying on his back, staring blankly at the blue sky, his mind still reeling from the impact. His arm was numb, and he was still trying to process what had just happened. 1 second he was attacking, the next he was flying through the air. Senior brother, are you all right? I am so sorry, Chen Feng asked anxiously, reaching out to support him. I really didn't mean to use that much force, I lost control. At this moment, Master Wu also hurried over, his expression serious. Hu Wei. Other disciples also gathered around, looking concerned but also terrified of Chen Feng's strength. Hu Wei slowly blinked his eyes, turning his head to look at Chen Feng. Then, surprisingly, a wide grin spread across his face, completely devoid of anger or resentment. He slowly sat up, accepted Chen Feng's hand, and pulled himself up with his help, dusting off the dirt from his clothes. "Ha ha, little brother!" Wu Wei laughed, though his voice still held a trace of shock. You really gave me a surprise. I didn't see that coming at all. I thought I just had to guide you a little, but who knew you were hiding such terrifying strength?" He shook his right arm, getting the blood flowing again, and looked at Chen Feng with genuine admiration. "Your strength is truly amazing. That collision just now, it felt like hitting a granite rock. You are definitely much stronger than me. I lost, fair and square." Master Wu quickly composed himself, though the shock was still evident in his eyes. He turned to Wu Wei and said in a deep voice, "Wu Wei, go to the infirmary and have the physician check your meridians and bones. Even if you feel fine, take the rest of the day off to stabilize your qi." "Yes, master." Wu Wei nodded gratefully, clasping his fists. He gave Chen Feng one last look of admiration before limping slightly towards the medical hall. Master Wu then waved his hand at the crowd. "What are you all staring at? Disperse! Return to your training immediately!" The disciples snapped out of their daze, murmuring excitedly among themselves as they hurriedly went back to their respective posts. But their eyes kept glancing back at Chen Feng with newfound respect and curiosity. "As for you," Master Wu looked at Chen Feng, his expression complex, a mix of shock and excitement. "Come with me. The headmaster must see you." Chen Feng nodded silently and followed Master Wu through the courtyard, passing several training halls until they reached the most secluded and elegant part of the academy, the headmaster's office. Upon entering, Chen Feng immediately felt a heavy yet peaceful pressure filling the room. Sitting behind a large desk was an elderly man wearing a simple gray robe. He looked ordinary, but his eyes were as deep as an ancient well. Instinctively, Chen Feng activated his eye of insight. Status: Name: Hong Jingyang. Title: Headmaster. Strength: 98. Agility: 85. Vitality: 95. Internal energy: 120. Skills: Red Dawn Divine Art Master Level. Fist of Annihilation Master Level. Steps of the Void Advanced Level. Heavenly Shield Technique Advanced Level. Meridian Nurturing Art Master Level. Hidden Skill: Warrior's Intuition Passive, can sense danger and killing intent from miles away. Hard to deceive. Evaluation: A peak-level expert standing at the summit of the region. He has walked the path of martial arts for over 50 years. His internal energy is vast and pure like the ocean. He is wise, sharp, and values justice and talent equally. He is the true guardian of the Red Dawn Academy. Chen Feng's heart skipped a beat. This headmaster was truly terrifyingly strong. His stats were almost inhuman, far surpassing Master Wu. "Old Hong." Master Wu walked in with a smile. "I brought someone interesting." Headmaster Hong raised his eyes, his gaze sweeping over Chen Feng like a gentle breeze, yet it felt as though it could see through everything. Wu Changfeng then proceeded to explain what had just happened in the arena, how Wu Wei, an intermediate disciple with solid skills, was actually sent flying backward with a simple exchange of fists. He also explained Chen Feng's purpose for coming here, to join the academy and learn martial arts properly. The more Headmaster Hong listened, the wider his smile became. By the end, he was beaming with delight, rubbing his hands together. "Good! Very good!" Headmaster Hong stood up, walking towards Chen Feng. "To possess such raw power and control at such a young age, you are truly a rare gem. Wu is right, we cannot let such talent slip away. Come, sign these registration documents immediately. You can start your cultivation today." He quickly pulled out a scroll and a brush, ready for Chen Feng to sign. However, Chen Feng did not reach for the brush immediately. He bowed respectfully and said, "Headmaster, Master Wu, I am deeply grateful for your kindness and acceptance. However, may I request to start officially from tomorrow onwards?" Master Wu was stunned. "Tomorrow? Why?" "I still have some personal matters and arrangements to attend to outside the academy," Chen Feng explained honestly. Headmaster Hong stared at him for a moment, then suddenly burst into loud laughter. All right. I got too excited seeing your talent that I forgot about common sense. Very well, tomorrow it is." Chen Feng breathed a sigh of relief and added, "There is one more thing. Since I have matters to handle, I hope that in the future, I may be allowed to leave the academy grounds freely when necessary. I will not neglect my training, I promise." Master Wu frowned slightly, but Headmaster Hong waved his hand dismissively. The Red Dawn Academy is not a prison, Hong Xingyang said calmly. We do not restrict our disciples' personal freedom as long as you abide by the rules and do not use our skills to commit evil deeds. As long as you complete your assigned training tasks, you may go out as you please. He paused and added, however, for your own safety and for emergencies, you must inform the duty disciple or leave a note regarding your general whereabouts and expected time of return. That is the only condition. Understood. Thank you, Headmaster. Chen Feng bowed deeply, satisfied with this arrangement. It gave him the freedom he needed to handle his system quests and other business while still having a place to cultivate. With everything agreed upon, Chen Feng took the brush and signed his name on the disciple registry. From that moment on, he was officially a member of Red Dawn Academy. After exchanging a few more polite words, Chen Feng took his leave. He bowed respectfully to both masters and exited the office, his heart filled with anticipation for his journey. Leaving the academy grounds, Chen Feng walked with steady steps toward the city center. The sun was already high in the sky, past noon, and the streets were bustling with activity. He had one more errand to finish before he could settle down. His destination was the elegant silk pavilion. He spotted the familiar grand building easily. As he pushed the door open, the little bell chimed softly. The attendant who had served him yesterday immediately recognized him and walked over with a bright smile. Welcome back, young master! Are you going to purchase again? Not yet, Chen Feng smiled slightly. I have just joined a sect and will be moving out of the inn. I came specifically to change the delivery address. Oh? May I ask where to? The attendant asked politely, taking out her notebook. Please send it to the Red Dawn Academy, Chen Feng replied. The attendant's eyes widened slightly in surprise. She knew very well what kind of place that was. She quickly lowered her head respectfully, her attitude becoming even more courteous. Red Dawn Academy? Understood. That is a truly prestigious place. Congratulations, young master. She hurriedly noted down the new address carefully. I will make sure the manager knows. The items will be delivered directly to the academy reception safely once they are ready. Thank you. Chen Feng nodded, satisfied, and turned to leave. After handling the matter, he returned to the inn. He went straight to the dining hall and ordered a hearty meal. Even though he was eager to cultivate, he knew that his body consumed massive amounts of energy, and he could not skip meals. He ate slowly but steadily, replenishing his strength. Once he finished, he returned to his room, locked the doors securely, and sat down on the edge of the bed. The room was quiet, perfect for him to check his progress. He calmed his mind and summoned the system interface. Status. Name, Chen Feng. Strength 55. Agility 50. Internal energy 30. Skills: Body Strengthening, Eye of Insight, Fist of Shattering Stone, Beginner. Knowledge Level 2. Chen Feng looked at the numbers and his heart skipped a beat, a surge of excitement rushing through him. Just earlier today, his strength was 50 and agility was 45. They had both increased by 5 points just from that short sparring session and the circulation of energy. It seemed that actual combat and pressure were indeed the fastest ways to grow stronger. What surprised him even more was the new stat that had appeared, internal energy. It was already at 30 points. He had only started cultivating last night, yet he already possessed this much internal energy. It was proof that his physique was extraordinary, and his foundation was incredibly solid. It was far higher than what a beginner should have. I am progressing faster than I expected, Chen Feng murmured, clenching his fist. He could feel the power surging within his veins. Without wasting any time, he moved from the bed to sit cross-legged on the floor. He closed his eyes and began to regulate his breathing, following the cultivation method he had learned. As he guided the energy, he immediately felt a difference compared to yesterday. The warm current in his dantian felt slightly thicker and more substantial. When it flowed through his meridians, it felt smoother, encountering almost no resistance. It was like water flowing down a gentle slope, natural and efficient. The warmth spread throughout his body, nourishing his muscles and bones, making him feel comfortable and energized. He sat there for an hour, repeatedly circulating the energy, consolidating his foundation and increasing the purity of his power. When he finally opened his eyes, his gaze was sharp and clear. Feeling restless and full of energy, he stood up and moved to the open space in the middle of the room. It was time to practice his moves. Fist of Shattering Stone. He took a deep stance and began to throw punches. His movements were no longer stiff or unfamiliar. Every punch was delivered with the coordination of his strength and agility. He could feel the internal energy flowing out slightly to reinforce his strikes, making the air whistle with the force. He focused on every detail: the rotation of his waist, the stepping of his feet, the extension of his arm. In his mind, he seemed to hear a faint sound of clarity. Fist of Shattering Stone proficiency increased, 75% to 85%. He was getting closer to making it intermediate, and closer to mastering this skill completely. His strikes became heavier, faster, and more precise. Even within the small room, he unleashed a momentum that felt like he could truly shatter stone and break iron. He practiced until his body was completely familiar with every movement, sweat dripping down his forehead, but his spirit was higher than ever. Qin Feng sat on the floor, breathing steadily. The golden sunlight outside had long since faded, replaced by the cool hues of dusk. The sky was turning dark, and lanterns in the city were beginning to light up one by one. After catching his breath, he stood up and stretched his limbs. His body felt comfortable and light, but he was covered in sweat and dust from practicing. He went to the bathing area and washed himself thoroughly, feeling the fatigue wash away along with the dirt. Once he was clean and changed into fresh inner clothes, he looked at the pile of dirty garments he had taken off. Right, these need to be washed, he thought. I am moving to the academy tomorrow. I can't bring dirty clothes with me. He remembered that most inns had facilities for this. Gathering the dirty clothes into a bundle, he locked his room and headed downstairs. Spotting an attendant walking by the lobby, Qin Feng stepped forward. "Excuse me," he asked politely. "Does this inn have a place to wash clothes?" The attendant smiled immediately and nodded. "Of course, young master. We have a dedicated laundry service. It is available to all our guests. It only costs 30 copper coins, and they will be washed, beaten clean, and neatly folded for you." 30 copper coins? Qin Feng nodded. That was a very reasonable price. "All right, please lead the way." Qin Feng followed behind the attendant, holding the bundle of clothes tightly. They walked through a corridor at the back of the inn and arrived at a spacious courtyard dedicated to laundry. There were large stone basins, drying racks, and several workers busy at work. "Young master, you can just hand them over here," the attendant said, gesturing to a worker. "Leave them with us, and they will be ready by tomorrow morning, bright and early." Qin Feng was slightly surprised. "By tomorrow morning? It's already evening. Won't they be damp if they dry overnight?" The attendant chuckled, seeing his confusion, and explained, "Hee, you don't have to worry about that, young master. We have specialized staff here who have cultivated wind techniques." He pointed to a few people waving their arms over the wet clothes. Once the clothes are washed and rinsed, they use their internal energy to generate strong gusts of wind. It blows away all the water droplets in an instant, drying them completely in just a quarter of an hour. That's why it costs 30 copper coins. It saves time and effort, and the clothes are dry and fresh immediately. Qin Feng watched with interest. Indeed, he saw the workers gently waving their hands, and invisible currents of air swept over the wet fabrics. In moments, the clothes were dry and fluffy. "I see." Qin Feng smiled, handing over the clothes and the copper coins. "That is truly convenient. Using martial arts to make life easier. I never actually thought about it that way." He couldn't help but feel that this was wonderful. In the past, when he lived in poverty, washing clothes was a chore that depended entirely on the weather. If it rained or was cloudy, clothes would take days to dry and would smell musty. But here, with just a bit of wind technique, such a troublesome matter was solved instantly. Strength is not just for fighting, he realized. It can also be used to improve daily life. After handing over his things and getting a receipt token, Qin Feng felt his stomach rumble. He walked to the dining hall and had a satisfying dinner. His taste is still the same, but it's better than not eating at all. Returning to his room, he lay down on the bed. His mind was calm, but his heart was filled with anticipation. Tomorrow, he would officially enter the Red Dawn Academy. He would learn true martial arts, meet new people, and walk further down this path of power. With a smile on his face and a heart full of hope, Qin Feng closed his eyes. He slept soundly and deeply, his breathing even and long, recovering all his energy for the exciting day ahead. The next morning, the first rays of sunlight pierced through the window. Qin Feng opened his eyes, feeling refreshed and full of energy. He sat up and stretched his limbs, letting out a long breath of white air. His body felt light and powerful, as if every cell had been recharged. He quickly washed his face and rinsed his mouth, feeling completely awake. First, he headed to the laundry area at the back. He handed over the wooden token he received yesterday. The worker smiled and quickly retrieved a bundle, handing it over. "Here are your clothes, young master. Washed clean, dried, and neatly folded." Chen Feng took the bundle. It was indeed dry, and smelled fresh. He nodded gratefully. "Thank you." He then went to the dining hall for his breakfast. It was a simple but hearty meal, his last one as a guest at the inn. After finishing, he settled his bill, and walked to the front counter. 3 silver coins in total, young master," the manager said politely. Chen Feng took out 3 shiny silver coins and placed them on the counter. The amount was nothing to him now, but he appreciated the good service. "Thank you for your stay." All the attendants lined up and bowed respectfully as he walked out the door. Chen Feng stepped onto the street. He didn't call for a carriage or a sedan chair. Instead, he adjusted the bundle on his back and started walking on foot. Walking is also a form of exercise, he thought. It helps strengthen the legs and improves stamina. Why waste the opportunity? He walked at a steady pace, enjoying the morning breeze and the view of the waking city. It took him about half an hour, but he arrived at the gates of Red Dawn Academy feeling energized rather than tired. Standing near the entrance were 2 familiar figures, Headmaster Hong Jingyang and Master Wu Changfeng. They seemed to be waiting for him. When they saw Chen Feng approaching on foot, carrying a bundle, both of them were slightly taken aback. Master Wu blinked. "He actually walked all the way here?" Headmaster Hong stroked his beard, a look of approval appearing on his face. "Good habit. He doesn't waste time and treats every moment as training." Chen Feng walked up to them, bowed respectfully with a smile. "Greetings, Headmaster." "Greetings, Master Wu." Come inside." Headmaster Hong laughed warmly. "We were just waiting for you." They led him directly to the headmaster's office. Once seated, an assistant poured a cup of hot tea for Chen Feng. He accepted it with both hands, feeling the warmth. "Chen Feng." Headmaster Hong looked at him seriously but kindly. "After discussing it with Master Wu, we have decided to place you directly as an inner disciple." Chen Feng almost choked on his tea. He was completely surprised. Inner disciple? He hadn't expected this at all. Usually, new disciples start from the outer court and work their way up. "Don't be shocked." Master Wu smiled beside him. "Your strength is already comparable to, or even surpasses, many intermediate disciples. You possess such innate talent and foundation. We cannot treat you like a beginner. The Academy must nurture the best resources for the best talents. You deserve this status." Chen Feng felt a surge of gratitude. "I understand. Thank you for your kindness, Headmaster, Master Wu. I will not disappoint you." Just then, a knock on the door is heard, then the door opened and a young man around his age walked in. He was dressed in a high-quality clothes and had a lively expression. "Greetings, Headmaster, Master Wu." He bowed, then turned to Chen Feng with a bright smile. "Hello? I am Xiaoming. I am also an inner disciple. The headmaster asked me to show you to your room and get you settled in." Chen Feng stood up to return the greeting, and silently activated his eye of insight. Status. Name: Xiaoming. Title: Inner Disciple. Strength: 48. Agility: 52. Vitality: 45. Internal Energy: 55. Skills: Swift Wind Sword Art, Intermediate Level. Lightness Skill, Intermediate Level. Evaluation: Born into a wealthy family, but hardworking and not arrogant. Cheerful personality, good at socializing. His agility is his strong point, making him fast and flexible. Very loyal to friends. "Nice to meet you, Brother Xiaoming." Chen Feng smiled. "Let's go. I'll take you there." Xiaoming was very enthusiastic. They bid farewell to the 2 masters and left the office. As they walked through the courtyard, Xiaoming chattered excitedly. "Brother Chen, I heard what happened yesterday. You sent Senior Brother Hu flying with 1 punch? That's so awesome. I really wanted to see it. I'm so glad we're going to be room neighbors. We can practice together later." Chen Feng laughed lightly, finding this Xiaoming quite easy to get along with. Soon, they arrived at the inner disciple quarters. It was much quieter and more spacious than the outer areas, with independent small houses separated by gardens. Here we are! Xiao Ming pointed to a door. This is your room, number 7. And right next door, number 8, is mine. If you need anything, just knock on the wall or shout, I'll hear you. Thank you, brother Xiao Ming. Chen Feng pushed open the door and walked in. The room was simple yet elegant, and everything was brand new, prepared specifically for an inner disciple. The wooden bed in the corner was covered with a complete set of fresh, clean bedding, soft mattresses, thick quilts, and pillows, all smelling of sunshine and new fabric. It was obvious that no one had used them before. He walked over to the large wooden wardrobe and pulled the doors open. Inside, hanging neatly, were 2 complete sets of the Academy uniforms. They were made of high-quality, durable cloth, colored in the Academy's signature deep black and vibrant red. Embroidered on the chest and back was the Academy's emblem, a rising sun breaking through dawn clouds. The texture was smooth and comfortable, far superior to the rough clothes ordinary people wore. On the small table near the window sat a brand new tea set. The porcelain was white and glossy, delicate and beautiful. However, the tea caddy was empty. As an inner disciple, they provided the tools, but the type of tea leaves one enjoyed was a personal preference, so he would have to purchase those himself according to his own taste. Chen Feng touched the smooth tabletop. These were the privileges granted to inner disciples: better living conditions, better uniforms, and proper facilities. It showed how much the Academy valued them. He felt a warm sense of gratitude in his heart. He would definitely work harder to cultivate and repay this kindness. However, after settling down, he realized there were still things missing. He wanted to make this place feel more like his own home, not just a temporary lodging. I need some stationery, he thought. Paper, brush, and ink. It's always good to practice calligraphy or record my insights. And some snacks and daily necessities would be nice too. He didn't want to just cultivate all the time. He wanted to enjoy life a little as well. Having made up his mind, Chen Feng locked his door, then Xiao Ming showed up. Chen Feng said he'd due to the market to buy some necessities. Xiao Ming beamed and told Chen Feng he wanted to go to and he could recommend some good shop with a good price. They are about to head out when they ran into a disciple passing by. Brother Chen Feng! You're here! The disciple called out quickly. The headmaster and the accounting hall are looking for you. Please come over quickly to receive your items. Chen Feng was slightly surprised but nodded immediately. All right, lead the way. He followed the disciple to the accounting hall. There, the officials handed him a small cloth pouch. Brother Chen, this is your monthly allowance as an inner disciple. Inside are 5 silver coins. Chen Feng took the pouch. It felt heavy and solid in his hand. 5 silver coins was a considerable sum, enough for an ordinary family to live comfortably for several months. He bowed respectfully. Thank you. I will definitely use this properly. Xiao Ming is waiting for him outside. Brother Chen ready to go? Yes. Chen Feng smiled, patting the pouch in his robe. Xiao Ming beamed, and the two of them walked out of the academy gates together. They decided to walk to the market on foot. Since they planned to buy quite a lot of items, it would be inconvenient to carry everything while walking back. They agreed that they would just hire a carriage or a rickshaw for the return trip later. As they walked side by side along the bustling streets, the atmosphere was relaxed and pleasant. They chatted about all sorts of things: the scenery of the city, the rules of the academy, and their fellow disciples. Brother Chen, Xiao Ming asked curiously, why did you decide to walk the path of cultivation? Was it because you wanted to become famous, or to protect your family? Chen Feng looked at the sky and smiled slightly. Actually, for me, it was quite sudden. It was mostly by chance that I got the opportunity to enroll here. But I realized one thing: if I want to change my fate and live a different life, I can't just wait for things to happen. I have to take action myself, and seize every opportunity I get. Cultivation is the best way for me to do that. Xiao Ming nodded thoughtfully, then grinned. That's a really good answer. As for me, ever since I was little, I've always admired those powerful masters who could fly over walls and move mountains. It was my biggest dream. Now that I'm here, I just want to fulfill that dream and become a true master one day. They continued walking and sharing their thoughts, feeling as though they had known each other for a long time. Soon, they arrived at the bustling market area. First stop: the stationery shop. Xiao Ming led the way enthusiastically. Since Xiao Ming was a regular customer, the shop attendant recognized him immediately and greeted them warmly. Young Master Xiao. Back again? What do you need today? I'm buying for my new neighbor and brother, Chen Feng. Xiaoming said proudly. They picked out high-quality rice paper, a set of fine wolf hair brushes, ink sticks, and an inkstone. Everything was neatly wrapped up for them. Next, they headed to a tea house. Brother Chen, what kind of tea do you like? Xiaoming asked. We have floral teas, strong fermented teas, and green teas. Chen Feng thought for a moment and said, I prefer something mild. Something that can calm the body and mind, clear the head, and help with focus when I'm meditating and cultivating. I don't want anything too stimulating. The shop owner, hearing this, smiled and recommended. If that's what you seek, young master, then you must try our cloud mist green tea. It grows high up in the mountains. When brewed, it tastes fresh and sweet. It is excellent for soothing the nerves and regulating qi. Many cultivators love this kind. Chen Feng bought half a caddy of it, feeling quite satisfied. After that, they went to a fabric and linen store. Chen Feng decided to buy an extra thick blanket and 2 additional sets of soft beddings, so he could change them regularly and keep his room comfortable. Now for the best part. Xiaoming rubbed his hands together and dragged Chen Feng to a snack shop. They bought dried fruit slices, sweet pastries filled with red bean paste, and some roasted nuts, perfect for munching on during breaks or when studying late at night. They walked through several more shops, buying small daily necessities like candles, a new oil lamp, and some washing powders. By the end, their hands were full of packages, and their pockets were slightly lighter, but their hearts were content. With their purchases secured, they hired a comfortable carriage. Instead of returning directly to the academy, Chen Feng suggested, let's go to a nice restaurant first. We can eat before heading back. They arrived at a well-known establishment called Jade Crane Restaurant. As they got down, Chen Feng turned to the coachman. Coachman, please come inside with us. It is hard work carrying heavy loads and driving. It's always better to work on a full stomach. Let's eat together. The coachman was taken aback, then beamed with gratitude. Oh, thank you so much, young master. That is very kind of you. They entered and found a spacious table near the corner. They ordered several dishes and some steamed buns. While waiting for the food, suddenly a loud crashing sound came from the second floor, followed by the sound of tables and chairs overturning. Everyone in the hall looked up in surprise. You dare! Watch your words! Shouting and arguing erupted from above. The restaurant manager hurried up the stairs anxiously and managed to mediate the situation. After a few minutes, the noise died down. It seemed the conflict was resolved, and everyone returned to their meals. The atmosphere in the hall went back to normal. Soon, their orders arrived. The dishes were beautifully presented, steaming hot and fragrant. Chen Feng took his first bite, and his eyes lit up. The flavor was rich and layered, distinctly better than the meals I'd fortune in. His enhanced senses could pick up the perfect blend of spices and ingredients. Delicious! He praised softly. He, Xiaoming, and the coachman ate happily, enjoying the delicious food. But halfway through the meal, a terrified shriek pierced the air from upstairs, louder and more desperate than before. Someone died! He was poisoned! Help! Instantly, the entire restaurant descended into chaos. Customers stood up in panic, looking around fearfully. Quiet, everyone! Stay calm! The manager rushed out, his face pale but determined. He immediately ordered the staff. Lock all doors and windows. No one is allowed to leave. This is a murder case. From now on, everyone here is a suspect, especially those dining on the second floor. What? Lock us in? That's too much. We just came to eat. Why can't we leave? Many people were furious and protested loudly, but the manager stood firm, blocking the exits. Amidst the panic, Chen Feng remained completely calm, sitting in his chair. Suddenly, a cold mechanical voice sounded in his mind. Special event triggered, the poisoned guest. Description: an innocent man is dying, and the real culprit is hiding among the crowd. Find the truth, expose the killer, and save the victim if possible. Reward: 2,000 gold coins plus mystery package. Chen Feng's lips curved slightly. Of course he would accept. With his eye of insight, finding the culprit would be easy. Everyone, quiet down! A stern voice came from upstairs. We will interrogate every single person and witness one by one. Speak only the truth, and we will find the truth. Xiaoming looked nervous, and the coachman was pale with fear. Brother Chen, this is bad. We might be stuck here for hours. Don't worry. Chen Feng patted his shoulder reassuringly. Just sit tight. I'll go help resolve this quickly. Xiaoming looked at him in confusion as Chen Feng stood up. At that moment, someone from the crowd shouted, I know martial arts. Let me up. I can check the body and see what kind of poison it is. I am also a disciple from a sect. I am willing to help investigate. 2 other men declared. I want to help too. Chen Feng raised his hand calmly. Seeing so many cultivators stepping forward, the manager nodded quickly. All right. All of you, please come upstairs. Chen Feng followed them up. On the 2nd floor, a man was slumped over a table. A black, viscous liquid was dripping from the corner of his mouth, and his skin was rapidly turning a dark, bruised color. As Chen Feng reached the top of the stairs, he silently activated his Eye of Insight. Status panels appeared over everyone's heads. He scanned the 5 people sitting at the table, including the victim. He saw their emotions, their health, and their secrets. He didn't speak immediately. He knew who it was, but he needed evidence. He had to wait for the right moment.